The wind came screaming out of the north, driving snow so thick it felt like the whole world had turned white. It was Wyoming. November of '87. A good 40 mi of nothing between me and Laram. Out here you learn fast that the wilderness doesn't care if you live or die. I'd been chasing down strays all day, the cold gnawing its way right through my coat and into my bones. But as I finally topped the ridge, my cabin in sight, a knot tightened in my gut. There was smoke rising from my chimney and a light flickering in the window. Now a warm light should have been a welcome sight, but to me it was a warning. Drifters may be outlaws. A stranger in your home usually means one thing: trouble. I pulled my Colt, the frozen steel, off familiar weight in my hand and crept closer, my heart hammering against my ribs. I kicked the door in, gun steady. "Show yourself," I growled. "Or I start shooting." The shape by the fire didn't even flinch. It was a woman. She turned slow and the firelight caught her face. For a second, my breath caught in my throat. That dark hair, those green eyes. They were Amelia's eyes. The eyes of the wife I'd buried 10 years ago. But this wasn't her. This woman was younger, with a fire in her gaze that Amelia never had. A strength in her jaw that dared you to cross her. "Put the gun down, Caleb," she said. Her voice was quiet but firm, with that fancy Boston accent I hadn't heard in a decade. "It's me, Lydia." Lydia, Amelia's little sister, the one from the letters. Theon, their family called a hellion. I lowered the pistol, my hand trembling but not from the cold. "What in the hell are you doing here? How did you even find this place?" She put down a tin cup, steam rising from it. "My coffee, Amelia's letters," she said. She wrote about everything, the big sky, this quiet life. I had to get away from Boston, Caleb, from the parties and Theman my father wanted me to marry. I wanted something real. Real. That word hit me like a punch. For 10 years I'd buried every part of me that felt real. My heart, my hope. I buried it all right next to Amelia in that cold patch of ground behind the cabin. And now her sister was here, raking through the ashes. A wave of guilt washed over me. How could I look at her and feel this pull? She was my dead wife's family, but in the glow of the fire, I saw her lips part and something inside me sparked to life. Something dangerous. "Sit," she said, pointing to a chair. "You look half dead." I did, as she said, shrugging off my soaked coat. The warmth from the fire began to creep into my skin, but it couldn't touch the storm that was brewing inside me. That night, with the blizzard raging outside, the memories came flooding back. Amelia. She'd been like a spring day breaking through a long winter. Fresh off the train from Boston, all pearls and lace, with a smile that could stop a stampede. I was just a rough rancher, scarred and calloused by the land. I remember at the harvest dance her hand felt so small on my arm. "You stand like you belong here," she'd whispered, her eyes shining, born to it. I'd grumbled back, "But it owns me more." Her laugh was like a song I hadn't known I was missing. She married me, traded her fancy life for this cabin, for lamplight and chores. For 3 years, this place was heaven. She'd hum by the stove. She'd ride out with me, her head on my chest as we watched the stars come out. "This is freedom," she'd say, her fingers tracing the old scars on my hands. "With you, Caleb, this is home." Then the winter of mine '77 hit. It wasn't just a storm, it was a siege. The snow buried us and the cold took hold of everything. Amelia got sick. A cough at first, then a fever that burned her up from the inside. I rode for 2 days straight through the drifts to get a doctor, but it was no use. She died right here in my arms, telling me to live for us both. I dug her grave myself. The frozen ground as hard and unforgiving as my own heart. For 10 years I did what I was told. I worked, I survived. I kept my head down and my heart buried until now. Across the room, Lydia was wrapped in one of my blankets. She said, "You were strong," she said quietly but haunted. "Haunted's about right," I muttered. "You shouldn't have come. This is no place for a woman like you." "I'm not the woman I was in Boston," she shot back, a spark in her eyes. Amelia broke away from all that. So did he. Her words hung in the air between us. I felt it again, that pull, that part of me I'd buried, screaming to get out. My conscience yelled back, but my eyes stayed on her, on the firelight dancing on her skin. What kind of man did that make me? The next morning the storm had passed. He was outside early splitting firewood, trying to work the feelings out of me. Lydia came out wearing Amelia's old shawl. It looked wrong and right. "I can help," she said. "You'll just hurt yourself. Try me." And we worked side by side. She was all wrong at first, the axe heavy in her hands, but she just laughed. "I'm a fast learner," she said, those green eyes challenging me. Days bled into weeks. "The roads were blocked," she said. But I knew she wasn't in any hurry, she learned. She burned the biscuits, then she didn't. She learned to saddle a horse, my hands covering hers, showing her how. I tried to pull away, but the touch always seemed to last a second too long. Her nervous falls turned into wild rides, her whoops of joy echoing in the valley. One afternoon, a gust of wind tore her hat off, sending her black hair flying. She looked at me, breathless and smiling. "This," she said. "This is what Amelia meant." Feeling alive. My heart clenched. Alive. I hadn't felt that way in a decade. But Lydia, she wasn't Amelia. She was wilder, tougher. She challenged me, and the desires I'd buried for so long were clawing their way to the surface. But so was the guilt, to love your wife's sister. The world had a name for that. Sin. Old Jeb Harlan, a distant cousin who ran the smithy in town, brought the outside world with him when he rode out with supplies. "Folks are talking, Caleb," he said, not meeting my eyes, saying, "You got Amelia's kin up here. The preacher's making a fuss." "Let him talk," I growled. "It's none of their business." Jeb saw Lydia mending a harness. "She's got grit. I'll give her that. But you watch your back. Vance Cutler's been spreading rumors, saying he's got a claim on this land. Vance, a snake I used to call a partner. He'd wanted this ranch for years, and now he had something to use against me." That night, Lydia and I ate stew by the fire. She'd gotten good at cooking. It tasted a little like Amelia's, but with something extra. Something all her own. "Why do you stay so alone?" "Sheest, Amelia wrote that you were strong but so very lonely." "Lon is safe," I said. "Nothing left to lose." She moved closer, her eyes searching mine. "But is it living?" "She wanted more for you than this." Her hand touched mine over the table. A jolt went through me. Pure heat. I yanked my hand back. "I can't, you're her sister." The hurt in her eyes was a knife in my gut, but she just nodded. It became a battle. Moments we'd be so close. I could feel her breath on my cheek, and then I'd pull away, drowning in guilt. Then the rustlers came, just before dawn, moving like ghosts through Themist. I grabbed my Winchester. Lydia grabbed Amelia's old shotgun. "Stay inside," I ordered. "No," she said, her jaw set. We rode out together, lead whizzing past our ears. I saw their leader, a hired gun named Blackjack Reno, and charged him down in a dry creek bed. "This ranch is mine now, Harlan," he yelled. Shots echoed off Therox. One of his clipped my shoulder, the pain hot and sharp. My own shot was true. He went down hard. Lydia's shotgun roared, and the rest of his men scattered. She was by my side in a second, her face pale but her eyes fierce. "You're hit." Back at the cabin, she cleaned the wound, her touch gentle. "You stubborn fool," she whispered, her face so close to mine. I could smell the wood smoke in her hair. I cupped her cheek, about to close the distance, and then I saw it. Amelia's locket hanging on the mantel, shining in the firelight. I pushed myself away from her. "Damn it, Lydia, this is wrong." Tears welled in her eyes. "Why are you fighting this?" "She's gone, Caleb." The war inside me was tearing me apart. Weeks went by, we were tested. A rock slide nearly buried me, but Lydia dug me out with her bare, bleeding hands. "I'm not losing you too," she sobbed. But the whispers from town got louder. Jeb rode out again. Vance had riled people up. Calling me a sinner, claiming our life here was an abomination. In Amelia's old hope chest, we found it. Proof. Forged deeds and papers showing Vance's plan to steal everything. The mob came that night, torches burning like angry eyes in the dark. "Burn him out." Vance screamed. That woman's bewitched him. I stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand. Lydia right beside me, unafraid. "Get off my land," I said. The world exploded in gunfire. I faced Vance in the moonlight, our revolvers barking fire. His bullet tore through my leg. Mine found its mark. Heffel and his lies fell with him. The mob vanished into the night. The fight was over, but I was bleeding inside and out. As Lydia patched me up, she looked at me, her eyes pleading. "Choose to live, Caleb, with me." The ghost of Amelia stood between us. I couldn't do it. "Go home, Lydia." I told her, "Go back to Boston. There's no good ending for Usher." She was gone by morning. The sound of her wagon wheels was the sound of my own heart breaking. For 2 days, the silence in that cabin was a physical thing. I saw her everywhere. On the 3rd day, I couldn't take it. I saddled my horse and rode like the devil was on my heels. I found her at the train station in Laramie, just standing on the platform holding a ticket. The train whistle blew. "Lydia!" I yelled, jumping from my horse. She turned, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Don't go," I said, my voice raw. I was a fool. "I've been buried too long." She took a step toward me. "Amelia would want you to be happy." But it wasn't over. 3 of Anne's men emerged from the crowd, guns drawn. I shoved Lydia behind me, and the world became a blur of smoke and thunder. I dropped 2 of them. The third's bullet seared my arm just as G-Band the sheriff arrived. It was over. Wounded and bleeding, I pulled Lydia into my arms. "I love you," I said, "to hell with what anyone thinks," and she kissed me. All the fire, all the longing finally released. "Take me home, Caleb." We rode back as the sun set, leaving the ghosts behind. But that night, as a new storm gathered in the mountains, Lydia came to my room. She slipped into my bed, her skin warm against mine. "Caleb," she begged, her voice a whisper full of a need I understood all too well. "Make me yours." One last flicker of guilt, and then it was gone, replaced by a feeling so powerful it drowned out everything else. We came together, 2 broken people finding a way to be whole. The world could whisper all it wanted. Out from the wild heart of Wyoming, we built our own world.